program. Don't worry, you'll have more opportunity to network after our special presentation. So make sure you get to know everyone while you can. Again, I'm going to start the program by introducing myself. My name is Ted Parkhill, and I am the CEO of Incline Investment Management. We are a private investment firm based in Incline Village. I also moonlight as a adjunct professor at Sierra Nevada College, teaching investments. And I'm standing in tonight. It's my honor to be standing in for Johannes Ziegler, the founder of Tahoe Silicon Mountain, now known as Mountain Mines Monday. And so Johannes couldn't be here tonight because he happens to be in Europe on business. What kind of excuse is that anyway? So I get to be your host tonight, and I'm very honored to do that. But first, before we get started, I'd like to also welcome, we have some special guests in the back of the room. We have some high school students, which I think is fantastic. So please, everyone, welcome the high school students we have in the back. No time like the present to start your entrepreneurial spirit, because like many of us in the room, I suspect many of us did get started back in high school. I, for one, did junior achievement, and was a huge fan of the junior achievement program. They do have a big following in Reno. I don't know if they have a chapter here in Truckee, but for anybody that is based here in Truckee, that's something I would encourage you to look into. Before we get started, I'd also like to thank our sponsors. We have a fantastic lineup of sponsors that really do a great job of supporting this program, keeping our prices down, supporting our ability to live stream on the web. We have new leaders, the Lyft Co-working, Holland and Hart, and our community partners, Truckee Chamber, TTC TV, Use Pay It, Tahoe Donner, Pizza on the Hill, which is where we are tonight, and the Truckee Roundhouse. So thank you very much to our sponsors. Round of applause. It's my pleasure tonight, too, to introduce our speakers. I don't have an elaborate introduction of the speakers because they kind of keep a low profile. And yet, I think we're going to have the opportunity to hear a little bit about their backgrounds tonight. But I'd like to welcome Maiya Holliday, who said hello earlier, and her colleague Marie, and this is fantastic. I'm going to give it a shot, okay, Marie? It's Koesnodihardjo. Close? No, it's butchered. Okay, hang on. She's going to do it for us for real. Here we go.
Koesnodihardjo.
Oh, that's exactly what I said, I swear. All right, so welcome, Marie. I think we'll stick to that. I think I can handle that. They are here to present B Corps, using business as a force for good. I, for one, am on the edge of my seat because I have no idea what that means, and probably should. So I'm glad I'm here because I have a feeling we're going to find out. The one brief paragraph I have to share with you is that many businesses already operate using a triple bottom line framework. We know about that when we teach entrepreneurship at SNC. That comes up a lot these days. But consumers don't necessarily see companies' environmental and sustainability initiatives as authentic. I think that's probably true. Come learn how the B Corp certification defines and upholds standards for environmental and social accountability that creates benefit for stakeholders and shareholders, and how your company can become a certified B Corp. So I have a feeling you're going to have a lot of interest in tonight's room. So I'm going to turn it over, with that, I'm going to turn it over to both of you, Maiya and Marie. Thanks for being here.
So I'm Maiya Holliday. I am the CEO and founder of Mangrove Web Development. We're a small web development company, loosely based in the Bay Area, although we're a completely remote company, and I now live up in Truckee, and I'm back and forth a bit between here and the Bay. You couldn't find my bio because it's on my long to-do list after putting up a new website about 8 months ago, but I also have a 3-month-old, so he's kind of monopolized some of that time. I'll turn it over to Marie. She joined us in October or November of 2016 on the Mangrove team, and she is our beekeeper who looks after all things B Corp at Mangrove Web Development.
Yeah, so we're excited to see that all of you guys are here. We actually thought that not that many people were going to show up because of the Warriors game, but go Dubs. We're keeping an eye, and we will be asking for an update at some point.
Actually, we're canceling the update.
Just like right here.
We're canceling the update because a few of you we've heard are DVRing it. So, but if you need to like up and run out, or you need to check your phones to see how they're doing, we won't be offended.
And we're really excited to share more about B Corps with you guys today. And yeah, go ahead.
One other note, we are not experts in B Corp. We ourselves are a certified B Corp. We became certified in November of 2016. So we are going to share with you anything that we do know about it. We're happy to share our experience as a small business becoming a B Corp and what we know of why it's important to become a B Corp, why it's advantageous for your business to become a B Corp. And we're happy to answer any questions that we have and then point you to other resources that can support you further if you're interested. So let's see if our slides are working. No? Garrett? Okay, I can do this way. No? Garrett.
Oh, there we go.
Okay. We already sort of touched on that. All right.
Agenda is just going to be very simple today. We're going to go over what B Lab is. We're going to talk about what a certified B corporation is, why you should certify as a B corporation, and a little bit about how to get started with it. We won't go into too much detail, but we can go to the next slide. So B Lab is the nonprofit that grants third-party certification. So B Corp is a third-party certification that goes over your social and environmental impact. So B Lab serves as the catalyst for this global movement for businesses that want to use their company as a force for good. They keep the movement going by doing a couple of things, and we'll talk about that later in the presentation. But one of the big things that they do is they help pass legislation for every state to allow companies to incorporate as a benefit corporation. And we are also a benefit corporation, which we'll talk about a little bit later.
And the B Labs also manages the B Impact Assessment, which is the assessment that you go through to get certified as a B Corp. So they are the nonprofit that's pretty much behind all things B Corp. B Lab's vision is that one day all companies will compete to be best for the world, and as a result, society will enjoy a more shared and durable prosperity. This is really kind of the main cornerstone vision of becoming a B Corp. Their mission is is using business as a force for good. Sorry, brain fart. And at Mangrove, this is why we really got interested in it. Our unofficial motto is making websites easier for for good people to do great work. Sorry, I'm a new mom and not sleeping as much as I should be. So what we really stand behind is we want to create websites for clients who we really believe in, and we want to be able to use our technical experience to support organizations in doing what they do better. And sometimes we've kind of ended up in the niche of working with a lot of nonprofits, and we didn't want to completely get stuck in that space because it can be a hard place to be working with nonprofits, most of the time. And so as we looked into it further, we realized that the B Corp certification really embodied everything that we want to stand for and everything that we kind of already were moving towards. And it's a really incredible way to also identify other businesses and partners and individuals who are very like-minded so that we can attract other other potential clients and other partners, and just also influence other people to kind of go in this direction. Sorry, I keep forgetting which one I've got.
So we've been seeing a significant shift in business. Oh, okay. Can someone hand me the stick? Thank you. Okay, so we've been seeing a significant shift in capitalism from the 20th to the 21st century. So business used to be all about shareholder value, and now we're seeing a shift towards also wanting shareholder value, but also wanting to create social value. And B Corp is one of the ways that people, that companies are allowed to do that, and they're finding the certification to help them shift through that process of starting to create social value. We also have a rise in the conscious consumer. So everyone wants to know where the chicken was raised, what hormones were used for their products. And I think that we're all trying to make better decisions with our money. And the B Corp label is one way for consumers to know that what they're buying has been created by a company with good values. Like I said, people are really demanding better. When I go out and buy produce, I look for something that's organic whenever I can afford it. I also look for fair trade certification stickers. These should be things that you guys have seen before. Maybe you don't always buy that way because of cost, but it's very important to understand what these certifications mean. And B certification is that for a company. So about 75% of consumers care about the company, not just the product, when they're making a purchasing decision. And through B certification, we were able to communicate and look at different things in our company to figure out how we could be better and become a better company.
So yeah, they kind of compare the B Corp certification to a fair trade label. I've actually started to notice it a lot since we've become a B Corp. Just cruising through the grocery store, there's a lot of B Corp organizations that produce, food, coffee, Equator Coffees, Seventh Generation, Honest Co., New Me Teas, Traditional Medicinals. So you can kind of cruise the grocery store and realize a lot of the brands that you are already gravitating to, maybe because you've heard about the way that these businesses do business, and then you can flip it over and maybe see the B Corp logo. So you might start noticing that around, which is a really exciting thing to see. One of the things that's very, very often confused is a benefit corporation versus a B Corp. It's very poorly named in my opinion, but we want to explain the difference. So a B Corp, so a certified B Corporation, that is a certification. It's based on the B Impact Assessment. It's the BIA, the B Impact Assessment, is based on a 200-point system in which you need to accumulate 80 points. You can accumulate these points in a number of different categories, and since there are a range of different businesses that apply to become a certified B Corp, it really allows you to kind of focus in different spaces, because there's mom and pop shops, and then there's multi-million-dollar corporations who become B Corps. So some of them have very different focus areas and kind of different strengths in the way that they get certified. So the B Corp certification is really based on that BIA. And then there's also it says a company that meets a high level of social and environmental performance and makes a legal commitment to consider all stakeholders. The legal commitment kind of ties into the benefit corporation. So as a B Corp, you commit to becoming a benefit corp within 2 years of being certified if it's available in your state. So currently it says 31 here, but 32 states offer benefit corp certification. California was, I think, one of the early ones. I actually don't know about Nevada, but I think it is. Great, thank you. And any for-profit company can pursue the B Corp certification. Now, if you then go on to become a benefit corporation, you're basically just writing in the B Corp certification into your bylaws. You're ensuring that if the company is sold or there's management shifts or anything, that your company has to uphold those values no matter who is in charge. So it's really just like a legal adoption and kind of cementing in those B Corp values. Patagonia was actually one of the very first benefit corporations, or the first?
The first benefit corporation.
The first benefit corporation in California.
2011.
the first in California or the first?
First in California, I'm not sure. First.
Okay, one of the early ones, one of the ones that that we know about. Like we said, we're not experts here. We know about our B Corp stuff, but and so in terms of your corporate status, you end up being taxed like a C Corp or an S Corp, and you basically just like amend your bylaws, and there's certain regulations around your board members and your reporting. You have to make sure that you submit an annual report once a year with certain standards and things like that. So there's just kind of more documentation that's submitted on a more regular basis.
One is not dependent on the other.
So you can be a benefit corporation. Your company is a benefit corporation, not a B Corp, right? We were talking about beer at the Maker Fair. So you can become a benefit corp without being a B Corp. If you're a B Corp, you do have to become a benefit corp within 2 years. So, but you can be a B Corp for 2 years without being a benefit corp, and you can be a benefit corp without being a B Corp. There you go. And if your state doesn't have a benefit corp, if it's one of the states that doesn't honor benefit corps, then you don't do it. I think you can become certified in another state. We have some resources that we can put up for you guys that, there's a consultant that we work with who knows this stuff a lot better. So we're trying to open everyone's interest to B Corps. And then if you want some of the more nitty gritty information, we can give it to you. We also worked with a B Corp law firm that's out of San Francisco who helped us become a benefit corp, and so they helped navigate through a lot of the legal stuff, and we just signed papers. So we're going to skip that one. Like I was saying with the BIA, these are the categories that you get certified, or these are kind of the buckets that the questions belong in. So as you're going through, we happen to have kind of like an okay environment score. We have a completely remote office, so our office is wherever I am. So we have certain recycling policies and energy tracking and things like that, but we actually, as a web development company, we don't really, it's not that applicable to us in a lot of categories. We don't have toxic waste and have certain ways of getting rid of it and things like that. So sometimes there's just aspects of it that don't completely fit into your business. And one of the nice things about it is you can really kind of just chip away at it and pick where you can really make an impact and where you can better your score and really dig into that. We have a much stronger community score and customers. The governance depends a little bit on some of the, becoming a benefit corp really kind of boosts you. It gives you a certain number of points towards becoming a B Corp, so that's an advantage of doing it. Moving on. So like I was saying before, here's a number of brands that you likely recognize. You might not recognize that they are, or you might not have known that they are B Corps, but maybe you have gravitated towards them because of other things you know about the way they do business. So it's just been really enlightening for me. I've got Turner who's screaming out there, I think, and when I was suddenly interested in diapers, I started looking around and realizing that, there's actually at least 3 different B Corp organizations that provide diapers. There's Honestco, there's 7th Generation, and then I think there's a lot of brand loyalty within B Corp as well. When I'm in the grocery store, I'm much more likely to grab Numi or traditional medicinals tea over the 60 other varieties, because I know that when I see that B Corp logo, I really understand what their values are and what they stand for, that they treat their workers fairly, that they really care about their environmental impact, that they give back to the community, that they're involved in their local community, all of those things. There's more than 2,000 certified B Corps right now. It's international, so they're in over 40 countries. The range of industries is really incredible. I mean, you could go to a B Corp dentist, you could have a B Corp web developer, you could eat, rice that's from a B Corp organization. You can see a massage therapist that's a B Corp. It can really, it's this really unifying force just saying that we have shared values and we're across all different industries and of businesses of all different sizes, which is one of the really amazing things about it. Can anyone tell us or guess what percentage of B Corps are in the Bay Area? Anybody know?
6%.
That's one. We'll take the closest. Anyone else have a guess?
45.
That's farther away. It's actually 10%. So there's a really strong contingent of B Corp organizations in the Bay, which is, being here and being that close makes it a really great community to be a part of. Here's a nice quote from the Patagonia CEO. I will just let you guys read that and digest it on your own. So one of the things that kind of inspired us to become a B Corp, to become B Corp certified, is that we felt like it already kind of embodied a lot of things that we were already doing, and the more we understood about it, the more we felt like that's just a great, literally like a great label to put on our business that really says what we're all about, and I think, Patagonia has been very vocal about their environmental values and their, social values, and they're trying to actually, my wonderful sister is working them on their diversity and inclusion, and they really are kind of keep trying to move the needle forward and just be a better and better organization and just take all of that amazing clout and revenue that they have and really just make the world a better place. So that really resonated with us, and as we started going through the B Corp, the BIA, we realized a lot of the items were things that we were already doing that we just needed to articulate and formalize. So we went through our employee handbook and really documented a lot of things. It's like how many volunteer hours are we contributing a year? It's just a matter of saying, this is our policy, now we do X number of employee hours and we're compensated this much for it. And it's funny, when we became certified, we actually have a group that is mostly subcontractors, and I call them my loyal subcontractors because they're really, they're really like family, and they're like our employees, but they actually just technically work as subcontractors. So in terms of the certification, I was actually the only employee when we got certified. And so a lot of things were just like, okay, Maiya, now we do this, and now we do this, and now we do this. But in saying that, it wasn't just, we weren't just writing it in for the sake of getting certified. It's really things that we believed in. So, so it's, I feel like a lot of people in this room probably have very shared values about their business, really care about the way they're doing things. And so it's really interesting to go through the assessment and to kind of just formalize those things. You say, okay, now moving forward, we have a recycling policy. We've been recycling the whole time, and now we just write it down, and that's the way we do it. And that's been a really great way to identify, to attract like really great teammates, and to just organize. What's up?
I just had a quick question. If you had any sort of idea what the kind of the breakdown in like professional jobs versus manufacturing versus other industries, like is it a lot of web development companies, or is it a lot of companies in clothing or something along those lines?
There's a really big range. I know that there are a few web development companies. I've just taken special notice to that. I know there are a lot of food companies. There are quite a few clothing companies. There are a lot of service-oriented businesses. There's law firms. There's a lot of consultants who, a couple of consultants actually help other organizations become B Corps. Do you know what the breakdown is like?
I don't know what the breakdown is like, unfortunately.
That's a great question, though, and that's all I know. So what was I saying? So also, so what I was saying is just being a B Corp helps us really like create sort of the path forward as we hire new people, as we connect with new clients, and it just kind of creates this like. One of my friends said it's like these guardrails for sort of how you keep moving ahead. So you'll probably recognize these guys: Clean Canteen, Ben and Jerry's, and New Belgium. They are all certified B Corps. I'm not sure if you, and they're really kind of doubling down on the B Corp branding here and really calling it out and just wearing the B badge loud and proud.
One thing I wanted to, it sounds like it's going crazy out there.
If any of you are recording this, I'm not sure if you're going to be surprised.
Section over here.
Yeah.
One thing that I wanted to mention that's interesting about the way B Lab, so B Lab again is the nonprofit that manages the B Corp certification, B Impact Assessment. They basically push all of this forward. So B Lab really targets industry leaders. So they're looking for the Patagonias and the Ben and Jerry's of each industry. And that's the way they want to influence the movement. So if they can get a Patagonia, then that effect will influence other clothing industry companies. And I think that's a really smart way to get the movement going, because if Patagonia says we're a B Corp, someone else is gonna say, hey, should I be a B Corp too? And that's kind of how we also talk about it between other companies.
Yeah, and one thing about B Labs is they're really there to help you, and they're really there to provide resources to help you become a B Corp and to help you better your score and to help you get the word out about it for yourself and also to others. So they provide a lot of documentation. They provide a lot of just graphics and things that you can take and use in your own social media and blogs. They have a whole like Google Docs folder that has templates for some of the employee handbooks and policies and things like that are, we don't need to sit there and write our policies about, fair treatment of workers from scratch. We can take what they've got and modify it from there. So they are really there to be your advocate. One of my friends who works there is kind of described as they really want you to become a B Corp. They don't want to have inflated scores. It's not easy to become a B Corp. It's definitely attainable. It's a decent amount of work, but they're really there to help you, to help point out to you, hey, maybe you didn't notice this thing. You can actually get a couple points there. They're not there to kind of like dock you and catch you up on anything. So that's a really incredible part of it as well. Here's another just example of kind of rallying around the B Corp branding. There's a lot of instances in which B Corps kind of just join forces with other B Corps and kind of try to push the whole movement and understanding of B Corps forward. There's also kind of some behind the scenes kind of collaboration. Sometimes B Corps will join together and then go to a conference together and present as kind of a panel of B Corps, and that way they're able to kind of split the costs of going to what may be a kind of an overly expensive conference ticket and be able to kind of speak about all of their businesses and really like promote B Corps in general. So, are there any questions? This is kind of a good chill point. Go ahead.
Okay. Yes, we don't need.
Oh, let's have him go, and then we'll pass the mic up here. Oh, Marie.
All right, first
Go
question.
ahead.
What is this doing to the bottom line? Like, is it going to increase or decrease my expenses, or is it really a value push as a company? Why would we do it?
That's a really good question. I think it's really different across different industries, so I'm not sure exactly. I think a lot of it is what you make of it. I can definitely say that getting, and like I was saying, there's like those 5 buckets of areas where you can get certified, so you can really kind of push through different areas. Some things may negatively affect or positively affect your bottom line, and it really depends on what you make of it. For us, we were really interested in getting certified, not only because it kind of captured who we are and helped us kind of just solidify how we wanted to do business, but also put us into this network of like-minded businesses who we really want to work with. So I think for us, it's actually been a great way to generate new business, and more importantly, to generate business with organizations that we're really excited to work with. It's a really great talking point, but different industries might care about it more than others. So I think it's like I was saying, there's such a variety of organizations that are certified, and so many different types of organizations. I think for maybe like a clothing business, it might mean that you need to pay workers more, or put out more, pay more for materials, or it might cost you more, but for Patagonia, I think their values have like skyrocketed their success. So I think it kind of really depends on your industry and what you want to do with it.
And that goes into most companies trying to avoid regulations, but standing under a B Corp, now it sounds like you have 5 buckets of new regulations.
I mean, yeah, but they're kind of self-imposed. So I think, you really have to believe it, and you really have to want to do it. And if you want to do it, then you do it, and you keep up on your score. You have to get recertified every 2 years. So, I think if you really have to be invested and to really want to do it, I think if you're doing it, I think if you're motivated by profit and nothing else, it's definitely not going to be something that serves you. But I think most of the organizations that do go ahead and get certified, I think because it's not really an easy certification to get. It's a decent amount of work. It took us about 6 months to do it. We kind of slotted it in between client work, but it's not something you just get like that. So you really have to invest in it and say, this is what we want to do. We really want to stand behind this. This is how we want to do business. You're almost like self-regulating, and then you agree to recert every 2 years. So there's no one coming down on you and saying you didn't do this, but you have to uphold it to get recertified. Go ahead.
Do you know of any real estate companies or hedge fund companies that are actually B corporations?
Yeah, there are a few. I can't name them off the top of my head, but I know there are a couple of real estate companies, and there's actually online, if you just search for B Corp directory, there's a directory of all the businesses, so you can go check it out, and I encourage you guys to go.
Are you familiar with the term greenwashing?
Yes, actually we have a slide about that.
Oh, good. Because I would be interested. At the same time, it's good to have companies like Patagonia, and probably, Whole Foods may pretend to be there, but I think ultimately they could be there. But also looking at companies like Safeway and so forth. In other words, so you're getting a broader group of organizations. And lastly, I'd like to know what you're doing with, or what they're doing with startup companies, because again, there's not a lot of bandwidth, there's not a lot of money, but it certainly represents, I think, a step forward.
Totally. So for the startup question, there's actually a pending B Corp certification you can get as a startup, and you can get certified after a year. So you kind of have to prove that you are actually following all these things and have some data behind you to get certified.
You have to incorporate as a benefit corporation if that is available in your state. So if you're a startup and you're in that 12-month period, you need to incorporate as a benefit corporation if your state allows that. If your state doesn't allow that, you need to incorporate as a benefit corporation in a state that allows you to do that.
Is that a dual incorporation? Is that a dual incorporation? In other words, would you be both a benefit corporation and a C corporation, or do you have to? It's one or the other.
No, you're a benefit corporation, and you file taxes as a C Corp or S Corp. And this is something that you might know more about, our lawyers certainly know more about, and I just know that we file as an S Corp, and a benefit corp it's almost like a wrapper on, it's like an alias for one of the other, for S Corp or C Corp, C Corp or S Corp in terms of like how the IRS sees you.
IRS would see as a C Corp.
Yeah, exactly. The IRS doesn't really care about benefit corp, but anyway.
Yeah, Heidi from the Tahoe Prosperity Center had a question online, and she asked, for small businesses that want to do the right thing and don't want to go through the official process, do you have ideas for how they can promote themselves without the B Corp title?
Yeah.
And then, sorry, she has one follow-up with that. We'd like to encourage more businesses doing this, even if they don't want to go through the official B Corp process.
That's a great question, and so I actually was a little bit apprehensive about going through the entire certification process. I went through kind of how to look at the BIA, felt overwhelmed by it. You know, we're a small business, we're juggling a lot of things. We don't have someone who could be dedicated to this, and so I kind of went back and forth on it for a little while, and a colleague of mine, or a friend of mine who works at B Labs actually said, you know, it can be a really enlightening process just to do the B impact assessment. So whether you get certified or not, go through it, look at it. There's a short form and there's a long form. So you can start with the short form, get a taste for it, and then if you want, you can go through the long form. There's, they actually just rebuilt the back end and the impact assessment website. So you can actually go through and you can flag things to revisit them. You can put notes on them. You can, you know, someone I talked to who was giving us some advice on certify and said, go through it, flag, like tag all the things you think you can say yes to, and come back around later and then weed through it again. So kind of see how far you can get with the things that you think are possible for your business, and then go back through and kind of like dig in and get those things done. If you're close to being certified, then you know, okay, these are the things we need to do, and we're gonna commit to that, we're gonna do it. If you don't feel like you can go through the entire process, I think it's still a really good idea to go through the impact assessment, because there's things that come up that will kind of might give you ideas about more progressive practices in your business that you might not have thought about before. And I think, you know, I started doing that. I started chipping away at it a little bit, not knowing if we would actually become certified or not, and not knowing if we would maybe get our certification in a month or in 2 years. And all of the things I did to kind of like just start moving in that direction are things that I feel like were good things for our business regardless. So I think just going through the assessment is a really good experience. It's free, and there's really good resources. There's really no commitment except for your time of just, you know, going through it and really like having a good hard look at how you're doing things. One of the things we did in the early days was move all of our banking from Wells Fargo to Beneficial State Bank, which is a B Corp bank in Oakland. You know, you get a decent amount of points for doing that, and it's just not something I had thought of. I mean, when I actually did it, I was like, this makes perfect sense. Let's move our money somewhere where they're doing good things with it. That's, you know, that completely lines up with what we're all about and what we're doing, and why wouldn't my bank be aligned with our mission, you know, our values. But it just wasn't something, you know, we're sitting there, we're building websites, we're talking to clients, we're busy, we're like in the zone doing what we're doing, and it's just not something that we thought about. So I think just kind of looking at the process, looking at the assessment, just like let it like just marinate a little bit and just see what you can do to start just moving a little bit in that direction. And you might find one day like, hey, we're actually not that far away, we could do this. So, and you also can, if you think that you are going to become certified, you can talk to people and say, we're becoming certified. We care about this. We're trying to get there, and we're taking the first steps to start moving in that direction. And I think there's a lot to be said for that. Just say, you know, we may not have all of the points that we need now, but we're doing whatever we can to move that direction. So.
Do you know how many B Corps are public companies? Because Patagonia is private, so it seems like it's probably tilted toward private.
I think it's probably tilted toward private, and I don't know that information. We're kind of low on the stats, but the B Labs people know all that stuff. All right. let's keep moving, and then we'll do another round of questions as we go through. We've kind of touched on these things a little bit, but we'll just kind of quickly go through some of the benefits to certifying. We've kind of tossed some of these out there already.
So the first one is maintaining your mission. There's a nice little quote here from the owner of Patagonia about how becoming certified or becoming a benefit corporation really solidified the fact that his mission for his company would stay beyond his time at the company or beyond management shifts. And I think that's really great to be thinking about your company that far ahead. And then we also talked a little bit about the legal standards about becoming a benefit corporation if it's allowed in your state. The second one is to differentiate from pretenders. So you asked about greenwashing, and this is really a way to look at a company and say, you know, they're saying that their wine is organic. How do I know that? Is someone monitoring this?
Yeah.
And
or maybe the wine's organic, but they treat their workers like terribly.
crap.
Or so, you know, B Corp is like this really kind of well-rounded certification, and so, you know, you can look at it and say, yeah, they really put some effort into looking at their business as a whole and making changes.
And also, there's a bunch of web development companies in San Francisco, but how many of them are B Corps? That's kind of a cool thing for us when we're talking within our own network of B Corps. The third one is to just have a benchmark and something to look at for improvement. So our original score was 81, I believe, and we kind of beat ourselves up a little bit about it when
because 80 is the certifying score, so we're like, oh, we just made it.
We just made it. We're perfectionists, like most people, you know, like most entrepreneurs or CEOs, you know, small business people are. You're like, we have to do better. We have to do better. But we've talked to some other B Corps, and a lot of people have just looked at us and said, hey, that's really great, and you should be excited that you got there, and even more excited to improve your score. And because we have to recertify every 2 years, I'm constantly in dialogue with Maiya about what policies can we come up with. Are we on track to get recertified in 2 years?
And hopefully to improve.
Yep.
One other interesting thing is they actually track all the scores of everyone taking the BIA, not just who gets certified. The median score is actually 55. So that shows you how many people are taking it and how hard it is to actually get those points. I mean, sometimes like doing something that maybe will give you 2 points is like 3 weeks of work, you know. It's not, it's like a give and take. You figure out kind of where you can really focus and then hopefully just keep improving over time. But, you know, so we were recently at a conference, at a B Corp conference, and I don't know if you guys have heard of the shoes Allbirds. They're made from wool from New Zealand that's all sustainably sourced. And so the keynote speech was from the CEO of Allbirds, and he said, look, we have a score of 80, and we're proud of it. And he said, we're doing everything we can. Some things that we do that are great actually don't even show up on the certification. He said, you know, some of the sustainable wool that they use, like it just doesn't fit into the certification. And he said, you know what, this is a really perfectly imperfect assessment because, you know, there's no way to have a measure across all businesses of how good you're doing in the world, but this is kind of their, you know, the best approach and the best kind of overall look into it. And all the, you know, they're modifying the B impact assessment over time as well. So they keep, you know, we're a completely remote business, and so they've actually changed things recently to recognize that there are a lot of remote organizations, and so that maybe your office space is actually your house plus your employers, you know, employees, you know, hammock somewhere and something else. So they're really trying to like shift it to just be better and better, and the more companies that certify, the more data they have, and the better they can make the assessment. But you know, it's great to just have these measuring tools and then be able to go back and look at it and say like, hey, what percentage of revenue is coming from purpose-driven organizations or minority and women-owned businesses? What percentage of our vendors fall in those categories? How many, what percentage of our team is women or minorities? Things like that, and just keep checking in. It makes you think about it once, when you make your next hire. Like, I chatted with my sister. Okay, how do we be more, attract more diverse team members? How can we shift the way that we're just putting out our job descriptions? It turns out there's a lot of language you can use that kind of opens up applicants. It opens it up to women a lot more. That I obviously am a woman and I'm writing these job applications or these job descriptions, and she went through and edited and said, look, actually, if you put a salary range in there, what's the percentage?
I don't know what the percentage is, but there's a lot of interesting research. I actually have a free hiring toolkit if y'all want it. There's a lot of language and a lot of research that shows that if you take away things like preferred qualifications and you ask that in the interview process, instead of having that on a job description, you are able to attract a lot more women and people of color to apply for those jobs. And that is a barrier that folks just often don't think about. So that's like one very tactical, tiny thing that you could do to improve your B Corp score.
Yeah. Thanks, Liz. Yeah, so like I was saying, just going through the process, it kind of surfaces things that you might not have ever even considered. Speaking of talent.
So number 4 is about, attracting and engaging more talent. B Corp, provides a great platform, more things like what Ava just said about how to hire for
hire a more diverse team. And
yes.
Marie was saying that when she applied for the job at Mangrove, the B Corp certification really mattered to her and really told her a lot about us and the way we do business, and was a main reason why she was interested in joining Mangrove.
And there's a lot more young people that are interested in what your values are as a company, and if you're not talking about it, you should be talking about it, and B Corp certification makes you talk about it.
Yeah, it's a really good platform. It's a really good set of talking points about, it's like you were saying about greenwashing. It's good to be like, yeah, we do great things. We really care about what we do. But if you say like, through the B Corp, the B Corp certification process, we change this and this and this, and we make sure that we always follow these things, and that we really are committed to this range of social and environmental responsibilities, then it kind of is a lot stronger. And then also, as touching on before, just collaborating with peers. This is the Beehive. They're actually, it's the basically online portal that connects all the B Corps. So there's different groups. We're in like a B2B Corp group where there's a lot of really cool networking about how can we support each other better, how can we hire more internally through or partner, find clientele through the B Corp network, and kind of gravitate towards B Corps over other organizations when it's a good fit. They're actually rebuilding the entire Beehive. It's a really great tool. It's a little bit on the clunky side, so I'm really excited to see what they come out with when they revamp it. But even as is, we get great newsletters and networking notifications. There's like a Bay Area B Corp group in it. There's a lot of meetups. We just went to this B Corp conference at the David Brower Center in Berkeley, and it was just amazing to be around like hundreds of people who are B Corps and who are part of all these different range of organizations. So you can, I don't know if this will like drastically affect your bottom line, but there's some discounts you can get. There's actually a whole page in the B Corp portal where everyone can list discounts. So for example, with Mangrove Web Development, if you're a fellow B Corp, we give you a 10% discount. If you buy like jackets from Patagonia for your team, apparently you get 40% off
for the team, right?
And you actually get discounts to different schools and universities.
And that's actually a big one for me, because as someone that wants to go to graduate school, specifically Presidio Graduate School, I know that as I'm working for Maiya, I get a 10% discount on tuition.
Yeah, and that's substantial when you're looking
Yeah,
at tuition. And the last thing is, I think this is the last one, just generating press. Obviously just using it as a way to just talk about your business. There's a lot of really good articles that have come out about B Corps. There's this magazine that B Corp put out. I think they just started it in the summer of 2016. This was the first issue. You guys can feel free to leaf through them. But again, B Labs is really good at sort of leveraging the B Corp status and kind of getting the word out. They're great with their newsletters. They announce new B Corps to the whole community. So there's a lot you can do just with your status. I mean, we could have a blog post about every single different category of things and talk about it all day. But so it's just a great way to kind of generate some connections in social media and press and all that. Do we have 2 7s? Okay. we didn't make this deck actually. We borrowed it. You can raise capital. I actually honestly don't know a lot about this, but you can tell us what you do know.
So what I do know about it is that GEARS is a global impact investment rating system. So as you're searching for capital, this is another differentiation. It's gonna, it looks at, it's a measurement tool basically to say that you are a company that is, would be in the category for an investor as as an impact investment basically, and that's really hot right now. We have a company that we're building a website for, and they really wanted this score there. And it doesn't necessarily apply to our company, but I'm sure it applies to a lot of other companies and to a lot of people that are looking to make responsible investments.
Question?
Do you want to finish?
Sure, yeah, we don't have too many. We're going to try to get through this because we all need to watch the game. And, so who can certify? You have to be a for-profit company of any size, any industry, geography. The BIA actually, you answer some initial questions and then it kind of puts you down like a choose your own adventure path where it's customized according to your industry. So if you say we're 100% remote or we only have 10 people, it tweaks it a little bit so that it's just more more applicable to your business. You can be any legal structure. We talked about sort of the transition to benefit corporations eventually. And companies over a year old are eligible. If you are a startup, then you can get a special pending B Corp program certification. And I'm going to go through this quickly. You do the B impact assessment. The legal requirement is basically that sign off to then eventually become a benefit corporation. And then there's just this, there's some supporting slides here. So this is the Declaration of Interdependence. This is very fancy. So when you become certified, you sign that off. Like I was saying, you recertify every 2 years. There's an on-site review that's randomly selected, so there is a little bit of governance there, but I think usually people are, following what they've committed to. The certification fees are based on a sliding scale, so they just, check in on your revenue, and it's pretty affordable. And then there on bcorporation.net, you put up a public profile, and then you also, so you're able to kind of announce it to the world and be part of that directory. And then you also become part of the Beehive portal and connect to all the businesses. Ta-da!
Take the impact assessment.
Yeah. Yeah, we can open up to questions for them.
So I think it's a teaching moment to see the implosion at Uber, and they're probably not a B Corp.
They are not.
And I think, again, from what you've shared with us tonight, it looks like, again, by going on this process, you can avoid becoming another Uber. Mm-hmm. I mean, people would like to be Uber for the billions of dollars that they make, but not necessarily. I mean, you now have almost the entire leadership leaving the organization.
Yeah.
I'm kind of wondering though, there's an organization called Conscious Capitalism.
Mm-hmm.
And they seem to be more of a PR organization. I don't know if do you work with them, or do you find that?
I'm not super familiar with them, so are you?
I'd love to hear what you have to say. Thank you.
Also, if anyone feels the need, like my dad, to step out and watch the game, check in, go for it.
So
Go see how the baby's
I've
doing.
seen the Conscious Consumer magazine before, and I agree. I
I don't think it's conscious consumer.
Oh, what is it? Conscious Capitalism?
I think that's something different.
Oh, it is different then. Sorry. I was thinking about the Conscious Consumer or the magazine that What?
That's
So
different.
Conscious Capitalism.
yes, different.
So there's two.
Does anybody know? Yeah.
So there's one there's the Conscious Capitalism, right? And that they have chapters all around. There's actually a new one in Reno that just started. And there's Conscious Company Magazine, which is that what you were
Yes,
thinking
that's
about?
what I was thinking.
Which is actually, I would suggest everybody here just take a look online, because everything they post everything online. So that's another resource. But those are two different entities that are kind of along the same stream, would you say?
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing about B Corp is that we're first all businesses. So we're first all here to make money, and then with that we can also create social value. And that's one thing that I really appreciate about B Lab and B Corp and everyone in the movement. Yes, there is going to be a lot of marketing, and people are going to say, hey, did these people just get this so that they could be the first person to say that they have this and use it as a marketing scheme for something? Maybe, and maybe it will work.
But it also means they did the work to get there.
Yes,
So,
yes.
so that's probably a good thing.
I just wanted to thank you, but I also wondered, I think you had a lot of good information. Will those slides be posted up on the website so that we can revisit them?
Garrett, is there any way to like add a few resources to them?
And maybe your contact information as
Yeah,
well?
we have cards up here, so
Okay,
if
great.
you guys want, and really feel free to email us and ask us questions about it. Marie likely will get back to you, and we'll try to dig up whatever we know, or we can also put you in touch with the people that we know at B Labs, and they're incredibly helpful.
And to answer
Yeah.
the question, all of the slides will be posted on SlideShare, and so we can update your slide deck
Yeah, I'll
before
put
we
a
post
slide
it.
at the end with any other links.
Businesses have always had a range of how they feel their responsibility to society is. I was wondering a little more about the history of B corporations and when it became its formal a certification as this. And also, do you know if anybody, at least within the U.S. movement for B corporations, look back at the history of corporate charters and how they're, with the founding of this country, you had to have a social benefit. There was a limited time, often around 20 years, and it would just expire. There was no protection from liability for corporate officers. And I was just curious if people who were developing the idea of B corporations knew about that history and took any of that into consideration.
I'm sure they did. So B Lab is the nonprofit, like I said, that is really moving this forward, and they're very much involved with state legislation passing. They have created entire websites and really are getting people together. They want people to certify as B Corps when they can't become a benefit corporation. And then if they are a B Corp, they want them to do the reverse. So they're very well entwined with what's happening and pushing that through. And it was a lot.
Do you know the history of like when B
Well,
Corp
California, you could become a benefit corporation in California in 2011, and I think we mentioned that Patagonia was the first benefit corporation in California. The other states, I'm not sure, but I know that since this slide was made, or the slideshow was made, there was another state that legalized that. So it's great, it's moving.
And do you know when the certification was developed?
I'm not sure when the certification was developed.
It's definitely, I think it was maybe, it's within the last 10 years. I mean, it's quite new. And it's, like Maria was saying, how they're really focusing on the industry leaders. I think it's, really incredible that they have been able to connect to a lot of these very large corporations who are like encouraging or just exposing B Corps more. And so I'm really, really interested to see like just how that momentum builds. The B Lab crew are really, really active in the Bay Area. They also have an office in Chicago and New York as well. There's a lot of chapters that are all over the U.S. and in other international locations as well. So I think it's kind of in the early days of it. I think there's a lot of interest around this. There's a lot of, especially like our generation really are more, conscious consumers. We're thinking about where our money is going and how we're doing business maybe a little bit more than past generations. And so I think the time is right for this to continue growing, and I hope it does. I would definitely encourage you to reach out to B Lab though if you have other questions, because I'm sure they would love to tell you about it.
We'll give you all those resources and links too.
Yeah. Go ahead, you still have the mic, and then we'll give it back to you.
Mr. Google says 2006.
Thank you, Google. Perfect. I was close, 11 years.
Are you guys the official or unofficial spokesman here in Truckee in northern Nevada? In other words, could we invite you to other
We are not
meetings?
the official anything, but we would be happy to talk about it. And coming from the Bay and moving up to Truckee, we're sort of, I've only lived here full time for less than a year now. So I've come up here since I was young, but I started poking around, kind of asking and seeing who else might be B Corps around. There are very few up here actually, and I think there's a lot of potential up here. So yeah, we're happy to be the point person and to chat about it, and we should connect with the chamber and give you guys some more resources.
We have time for 3 more questions, and both Maiya and Marie are going to stick around a little bit afterwards, I hope. If there are any more questions, and you'll find them probably in the next room watching the game, right? Yeah. Okay, here we go.
But we can talk while we watch.
All right, here we go.
Thanks so much, Maiya and Marie. It was really interesting. I have a question for you, kind of giving pros and cons. As we continue to build the Truckee community around a core set of cultural values, what do you think would be the pros and the cons under our economic development umbrella of focusing on, under recruiting B Corps?
I think, I can definitely say that I think since there's such a strong Bay Area B Corp contingent, I think it would pique the interest of a lot of people in the greater Bay Area, including Truckee. I think if people realize, hey, Truckee has actually this really high concentration of B Corps, or, I think in general, people in Truckee are special and maybe maybe are organized around a set of values more than kind of any old town. So I feel like there's a lot of interest and potential, and I think that I would encourage anyone to become a certified B Corp, and if we can kind of band together and create more B Corps around, I think all the better. We can really, encourage other businesses to be B Corps. We can, I think, get some attention and partnerships, or get business or whatever it is from the Bay Area and beyond. I think in California especially, it was started in California, so people really understand the B Corp seal here more than in other places. So I think that it would be great. Cons, I don't know. I think just the kind of grit to get through the assessment. But like I was saying before, I think even if you get part of the way through it, it's beneficial. So.
Were there any other questions? Remember, they'll both be here afterwards. So what I'd like to do at this point, I think I know what the pros is, though. It's to be or not to be Corp. So, sorry, but I've had it all night. I had to get it out. All night.
Yeah.
So I'd like to, with that, on that note, I'd like to thank both Maiya and Marie for coming. It was fantastic. I'd also like to thank our sponsors and in particular our team that puts this on tonight. We have Rachel and Ellen and Garrett behind the scenes. So thank you to them as well, because they all put a lot of time into organizing this. And I'd like to thank Rory and Dan for the live streaming and the high tech that we have for this event. And just again to recognize Johannes, who is in Europe enjoying his business trip, and it's without his initiative, an event like this and this whole organization wouldn't exist. So just 3 cheers to Johannes in his absence. All right. So again, thank you very much. Great to have you here. I learned a ton. I think everyone did. I'm sure that we're all going to go online and fill out the assessment. So let's get on it.
One last thing to say is there's 2 B Corp handbooks up here that kind of outline the entire process. Feel free to look at them. You can buy them on Amazon or just search for them. You can buy them from the B Corp organization. And there's also the first 3 people to run up here get a B Corp pin. And there's some B Corp magazines if you want to leaf through them. You can take them, the magazines.
And lastly, Garrett, do you want to remind them when the next meeting is and the date?
And who's speaking?
As I was reminded, the speaker is going to be Kevin Lyons. He will be talking about technology and the government, and the meeting will be on July 10th, back here at 6 p.m. again. Thank you for coming.
Thanks, everyone. Good night. Stick around and do some networking if you'd like.
Why don't you take